right, we're back with another installment of the Nailing History podcast. It's kind of a special episode that we're doing here. I'm here with John, back remote.
Hey guys, what's going on?
You good?
Doing good. It's great stop being in your studio, but I have to say I'm happy to be back at home base here. Got my setup going, and yeah, I'm really excited to get into another great episode. I think we have a really special one this week for y'all.
Exciting. We got a special in-studio guest, Emily M., who also happens to be my older sister of 2 years, is in studio with me.
Hi. I'm a first time, long time, or long time, first time. Which one is that?
I think you want to say you're a long-time fan first. You don't want to say first-time guest, long-time
First-time guest, occasional listener. Probably
I listen to all of them.
Okay.
I do.
You might remember as Emily was the one with the feedback that Tadeusz Kadusku shouldn't be considered a founding father. Which the reason that I bring that up is we came across a certain great American publication published a story about this. No,
that's right.
John?
That's right. I think last weekend, I guess they posted it. The Wall Street Journal put out an article Memorial Day weekend saying, while everyone's going out to Yellowstone and all the big national parks all out there in the West, they're going to look right past their backyard. They can just go right into downtown Philadelphia and go to this smallest national park in the United States dedicated to our founding father, Tadeusz Kadusku.
What else did it say about it? I didn't read the article. I was behind a paywall. Were you?
No, I gave them my email, just some nonsense email, to at least read like 5 free articles.
You should have given them our email.
We need more junk email in the inbox, I'm sure. We don't reply to enough of our fans anyway. I don't think the Wall Street Journal needs any more grief with us. It was basically the article. They interviewed a guy. I read the book that the author on.
You always read the book, don't you?
I read the book. So this guy, Tadeusz Kadusku, he stayed in this house after he left Russia and after the uprising, and basically he'd already fought in the Revolutionary War, and he'd made all these friends. And so when he left Russia, after Catherine the Great's son let him go, he came here, and this is basically just where he was recuperating for a number of months. And just kind of give a bit of a backstory. George Washington didn't know how to spell his name. He got his name wrong in 11 different letters that he wrote. And they put...
Do they have those letters in the museum?
They might. I don't know.
In the park? We'll have to find out.
But basically, yeah, they ask a question. They're like, well, why is this guy sounds like he's so important? Why is he not remembered? And like the National Park guide is basically like, I think it really comes down to people can't say his name. If he had a last name of Smith or Jones, he'd be in the history books.
That's ridiculous, dude. That's a ridiculous statement. Come on.
I don't know.
That's the reason?
I guess. I mean, he helped build West Point. He did a number of things.
That's just funny.
Smallest national park in the country is named after him.
It's a shame we're not big enough yet where they could have quoted us in the Wall Street Journal saying like, hey, this podcast, Nailing History, actually had him ranked as a 10.
I might have put him a Jack.
Card.
No, I made him a Jack, Peasant Prince. And I gave him a face.
You were trying to make him your John Hancock. You were jealous of that pick.
It was a good pick, but this guy's even a little more obscure than him, but I think he needs even more recognition. All I know is Wall Street Journal decided to write an article about it. We will get out there.
Wall Street Journal decided to do it.
And we will be there, and you can bet your bottom dollar I will be talking about the cards, and I'll be mentioning how I read the book, and they're going to be like, this guy needs a life.
Dude, we're going to have to get T-shirts made, Nailing History T-shirts with him on a Jack card to wear to the museum. That would be cool.
That would be pretty chill. Now he's awesome.
And maybe we'll sell them. We'll make them available for the fans to buy.
Maybe there's a family, the Kadusku Family Foundation. We'll have to see with them.
They'll probably be cool with it. If you tell them, like, I think he should be more famous.
If we find a local Polish lodge, there's going to be pictures of the guy all over the place. So I'm sure it'll be fine.
You like my hat?
I do. Yeah, I
do. You know where I got it?
I don't. It's backwards, so I can't really tell what's on the front of it.
This was our prize for winning third place in trivia on Thursday night. We won in a tiebreaker.
So all of our fans...
What was the question?
The tiebreaker was how many seasons of Survivor have there been? Luckily, Brian K., one of the people in the group, his wife watches every season of Survivor, just happened to be watching this one, so he knew it to the number. What do you think it is?
32.
32. What about you?
24.
46 is the answer.
Whoa.
I think it's been on for over 20 some years, but there's 2 seasons per year or maybe some years have had 1, some have had 3. So kind of averaging 2 per year.
Dang.
Yeah. Mark C got us out of a bit of a predicament. So our team name was, of course, the Nailing History Podcast again, like
Of course.
we did the last time. I wanted to make sure that, we got our name out there to fellow trivia connoisseurs. So when the trivia host asked a question, he shouted our team out specifically and said, "This is a question for the Nailing History Podcast over there. Hope they can get this one." And the question was, what is Ulysses S. Grant's real first name? And I had no idea. Did you know?
No.
Do you know, John?
No, I didn't know it without looking it up. He knew it?
Mark C. knew it.
How?
Emily M., do you know?
I don't know.
He gave us a hint that it started with an H. So I don't know why he gave us a hint, but Hank gave us a hint that it started with an H. So I said, I think it's Horatio. And then Mark saying, that's not even a real name. That's not even a real name. And I'm like, yes, it is. What about Horatio Gates from the American Revolution? And he's like, that's not even a real name. It's something like Henry or Harry or... So, and then he started saying all these random regular names. And I'm like, Brian K., write down Horatio. I think that's right. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I don't know if he snuck a look at his phone. I didn't see it myself. He's like, it's Hiram. And then we wrote it down and it was right.
He couldn't have just came up with that when he thought it was Harry and then changed his mind.
When he was saying that it was Harry and all that stuff, he was saying that he had heard it before. Like he said he knew. Here's another one for you, John. Here's another trivia one that we got this one wrong and I was really kicking myself about this.
Okay.
This is related to like founding father talk. What symbol did Robert Morris invent in like the I forget what year it was, like in the 1790s?
What?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
The dollar sign?
That's correct. That's correct.
We used British pounds and shillings and pence before that.
Well, he was the money behind the American Revolution, so I should have known that answer.
Well, I'm proud of you guys.
So we got third place. I knew you were a little jealous.
Did you just pull these 2 other people out of the woodwork? And you said we need another 2? I don't know, Brian K.
No. You don't know a Brian K. I'm sorry,
Oh, Brian K.
Brian K is one of our biggest fans, and now I don't know if he will be anymore.
I'm sorry, Brian K. and his wife. Thank you for your hospitality.
So it was pretty fun. Got third place, which is pretty good. We usually get smacked.
That would have been a good squad. Yeah, I could see you guys would have had a lot of bases covered, so that's good. Nice work.
Shout out to Mark C. Maybe he got the itch after being on our show. Maybe he was just doing some Civil War research and just happened to come across that name drop.
Yeah, we can only assume he was always so excited.
I don't think so.
I didn't see him on his phone.
I just have to say one last thing on that. Highly unlikely, because we went to a Civil War site in Tennessee and he couldn't wait to get out of there. So highly unlikely he's taken a sharp interest in the Civil War.
I heard you drove right through, or no, he was driving right through the park.
We were driving and you stop and there's just fields. I mean, that's a Civil War battlefield.
But he just like blew through.
He's
the
like,
park
cool.
way faster than you.
Kind of, I guess. We weren't like looking at signs and walking around. I was talking about all this and that, the Gettysburg of the West, as they called it, Chickamauga. And he was just like, I want to go to Chattanooga and bet on the horse races or something.
Well, that's enough of getting into the life and mind of Mark C. Let's not dime him out to the American public here. So I guess as good as time of any, we're going to switch up the format a little bit for this special installment of the show. Not sure exactly when this one's going to come out, but it's in a little bit in the vein of our Next Week in History podcast. But there is a specific historical event that is relatively recent. Most of our listeners, I would say, this is pretty fresh in their minds. Maybe our younger audience, if there is any, might not even have been alive when this happened. So definitely considered history. There's an anniversary of a pretty significant event that happened in our lifetime. And that is the Orenthal James Simpson murders. Or no, Nicole Brown Simpson and Ron Goldman murders committed allegedly by the late Orenthal James Simpson.
Yeah, alleged.
I don't know if we have to, just for the estate of Orenthal James Simpson. All this discussion on this episode, just as a catch-all statement, this is all alleged.
It's good to preface that.
So it's the 30th anniversary of this, and Emily M., she's a little late, I'll be honest, because this was kind of all the rage about 5 years ago, I think, when the 25th anniversary of the murders happened. But somehow she just came across all these old shows about it.
There's new ones too. There's the Lifetime one that's coming out right now about Nicole Brown Simpson. I am not behind. I am ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
You guys are blazing history in your nailing history right now.
Ahead of the curve talking about the OJ Simpson murders.
Yes.
So she has become a bit of an amateur enthusiast of the OJ Simpson murder. So no better place than to talk about your newfound knowledge than on our podcast.
Yes. I requested this appearance. So thank you both for indulging me.
Our pleasure.
Letting me join you to have someone to talk about all of this, because I think the people I talk to day to day are getting a little tired about hearing it. So
Hey, I get it.
Hey, as John says, got to stay curious.
That's
Yeah,
right.
No matter
stay
what it
curious.
is. Anyway, Emily M., why don't you take the reins and get started here? This weekend history. I like it. This week in history. Next week in history.
Done. Like, that's it. Those
Next.
3 hooks.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. That's where I thought it was done.
Next week in history.
Well, me and John were talking a little bit before we started recording about his love of history. So I wanted to relate these murders that happened on June 12th with another event in history from the Founding Father days. So I wanted to, tie those in a little bit together.
And what did you use to do that? John's going to love that.
I used ChatGPT to help me with
Oh,
Wow. So it's
Yes.
catching on.
yes, ChatGPT is catching on through our podcast.
It's only a matter of time.
this. Yeah, I heard about it on your podcast and I was like, what is this ChatGPT thing and can it do this for me? And I asked it to relate it to a time in colonial America. So I'm going to invite you to consider these similarities as we talk about the murders. You specifically, John. I
Okay.
think
Start
this is
it
really
now?
going to resonate with you.
Are you going
Okay.
to talk about them now?
Yeah, I'm going to talk about it. All right.
So that's how you're going to start. Okay, cool.
yeah, we're going to consider the similarities with another significant moment in history, the Boston Massacre.
Oh,
Okay.
boy.
Yikes.
Big John Adams event.
Both events, separated by centuries, serve as a powerful reminder of how sudden, violent acts can ignite a firestorm of public reaction and historical consequence. Just as the Boston Massacre of 1770 galvanized colonial sentiment and set the stage for the American Revolution, the tragic deaths of Nicole Brown Simpson and Ronald Goldman sparked a media frenzy, intense public scrutiny, and profound discussions about race, justice, and celebrity in modern America.
I have one huge reaction and one big question. John, now do you think John Adams would be more of a Johnny Cochran or more of a Rob Kardashian?
In backing the British, in defending the British.
Yeah, I mean, you would figure that them the defense attorneys for OJ Simpson would be the closest comparison to John Adams, right? John Adams defended the British soldiers during the Boston Massacre.
Yeah, I'd say he's got more of that Cochrane attitude to him.
You
Trying
think?
to think what snippy thing instead of the glove. If the glove don't fit, you must acquit. I wonder what quippy thing he would have said in like 18th century parlance to like a British judge.
I don't know if he had the charisma that Johnny Cochran had. I feel like he'd be more of a Robert Kardashian behind the scenes type guy. That's interesting. I mean, I could see that as being somewhat of a comparison just as far as like the public outcry of what happened.
I mean, the interest level, certainly. Maybe everyone wasn't turning on their TVs back in 1770, but I think it certainly created a whole hullabalooza of interest.
We'll keep that in mind as we go through it here.
All right, so we're going to journey back to July 9th, 1947, San Francisco, California.
Wait, when?
1947. We're doing the history here.
That is the
Okay.
We're giving
wrong
background.
week.
Okay, so this isn't just this isn't just the murders. This is also the history
We
leading
gotta
up
learn
to the
about.
murders.
We gotta learn about the man.
So
Yeah, we
it's the
gotta give the whole
history.
background,
It's the history
okay?
of the history. So, Mr. David
Just
Hackett
like
Fisher,
that
if you're
book,
listening,
that
history
book.
of the history.
OJ Simpson, or Juice, as he was often called.
Also a nickname that I go by every once in a while.
Yeah, do you want to explain that or no?
Nah.
Okay. He was born into a low-income housing project in Potrero Hill. His parents separated when he was 4 years old, leaving his mother to raise OJ, his brother, and his two sisters. His mom worked as an orderly in a psychiatric ward, and his father had a unique and colorful life. He was a well-known drag queen in the Bay Area and later came out as gay. And then he passed away from AIDS in 1986. So that caused a lot of strife in OJ's life. I think, that was tough for him.
Did not know that.
I didn't know.
What?
No idea.
About the
About
dad.
his
Yeah,
dad.
Pride Month too. That kind of fits. There you go.
there was a famous story where there was a gay couple. They were in Hawaii, and the gay couple wanted to hold their baby Justin, and the couple kissed Justin, OJ and Nicole's son, on the head, and OJ had this huge blow up about it. He was like really mad.
Sure.
And Nicole said to him, like, "What's the big deal? They're just gay, like your dad." And he did not like that.
Oh yeah,
That-
you don't want to say that.
That ended up in one of the big monumental blow up fights. So it came up a little bit, but I don't think he talked much about it. I don't think him and his dad had a very good relationship. His mom was working a lot. He lived in the projects, and all the moms kind of raised all the kids and keeping them all in line. He did have a rough childhood. He was in a street gang called the Persian Warriors. He was arrested 3 times as a child. One of the arrests landed him in juvie for a weekend, but during that stint, Willie Mays, the baseball player, came to mentor him and show him that he could have a better life. And so that is what kind of started turning him around and making him think, like, maybe I can do something with my athletic career and make something better of myself.
So one could posit that Willie Mays is to blame for all of this, possibly.
Possibly.
That's interesting.
In high school, he found some creative ways to make money. He said, if you were bored and wanted to make some money, you'd go hit the pie company. Did it maybe once a month, either sell the pies or gorge out on them. My favorite was blackberry. He and his friends would also steal sardines, soft drinks, and even slabs of beef. And of the beef, he said it was hard pulling those down the hill, but there was no way the butchers were going to chase anyone down into the projects. So they would steal them and then turn around and sell them, and that was how they made money in high school.
It's quick profit, 100%. That's 100% profit right there.
That's a good business model.
Unless for the months
you
when they
ate
ate the
'em.
pies.
It's true.
I'm wondering, sardines are a power food, so I wonder if that's the secret to his athletic success. Maybe he ate all the sardines. So
Well, that is a perfect transition because I was just going to talk about his football career here. He played in high school, but he had really, really, really bad grades. So he didn't even get looked at by top colleges when he was in high school. So he went to a junior college, and then he did really well there. They went to like the Rose Bowl of the junior colleges, I guess, which is where he caught the eyes of the larger universities. So he transferred to USC, and he won the Heisman Trophy, was drafted to the Buffalo Bills. Notably, he became the first and only player to date to break the 2,000-yard rushing mark in a 14-game season. I'm not a football person, but apparently that's pretty impressive.
yeah, I mean, that's impressive to do. And what's a 17-game season now? So 3 less games. He was one heck of an athlete.
OJ mother once said in an interview that OJ always said, one of these days you're going to read about me. And then his sister would add, in the police report.
Oh.
So there's a little bit of foreshadowing for you. 1967, around the time he transferred to USC, OJ married his high school girlfriend, Marguerite Whitley. They had 3 children. Marguerite described OJ as a terrible person when they met. And OJ agreed, admitting, I didn't have any goals. I goofed off a lot. I was sort of aimless.
Bad guys always get the girls, don't they, John?
That's right.
Marguerite was very private. She didn't like the spotlight. She filed for separation in the mid-1970s. In 77, they had their 3rd child, who then a couple years later tragically drowned in a pool accident. She was 23 or 24 months old when she toddled off into the backyard, and they weren't watching her, and she drowned in the pool at Rockingham. It was shortly after their divorce, but OJ blamed her for negligence. So in the divorce, she received a $26,000 cash settlement and $1,500 a month in child support. So to give you a equivalent, it would be $110,000 cash with $6,300 per month now. So not a very big settlement.
That's not bad. What are you talking about?
I mean, he was like a bajillionaire.
Was he?
At this point.
They didn't have the same kind of contracts they do now. I mean, yeah, he would have made good money, but
His final season in the NFL, he earned $806,000, which is like $3.5 million in today's money.
which isn't a lot. That's like a standard contract, I feel like. Mahomes is going to make $50 million this year, right?
He probably could have afforded more. There were 2 kids involved here.
So despite the tumultuous relationship, Marguerite maintained that OJ was never violent with her. She famously told Barbara Walters if he was, he would have gotten a frying pan upside the head. However, rumors circulated about the fact he was abusive towards Marguerite. A neighbor recalled it was the talk of the neighborhood how OJ was always pushing and shoving her. And there was a record of a police report where the policeman did go and he recalled there being like a clump of her hair on the ground and she wanted to ride away. She would never publicly admit it, but it seems as though in the rumor mill that he was pretty abusive towards her as well. December 16th, 1979, that was the end of his NFL career. And then at 32, he played his last game. And that was the end of that chapter of his life.
He played for the Bills the whole time.
No, he switched to the 49ers for the last season.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. Went home.
He hated Buffalo. He hated the weather.
Looks like he played 2 seasons in San Francisco. I didn't know that either.
John's wife's a huge Buffalo Bills fan, actually. Or John's fiance. She's got stickers all over her car and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Is she a big OJ fan?
She might be after this.
She might, yeah. She's probably going to be watching the same whatever show. Was there a show you watched to get into all this?
Lifetime, dude.
She'll probably
There's
tune
a
into
new
that.
Lifetime one. Yeah.
Okay.
So now I'm just going to give a little background on Nicole. So she was born in Frankfurt, West Germany on May...
German gal.
Yeah, May 19th, 1959. Her mother's name was Judy. Nicole's dad was stationed in Germany as a correspondent for the American Armed Forces publication Stars and Stripes. So they initially set up life in Frankfurt, and then that's where Denise and Nicole were born. And then they moved to California, to Garden Grove, and lived in Orange County.
My brother was born there.
In Garden Grove?
Yes.
There's a Sublime song called Garden Grove.
He
too.
always would say, "Oh, I was born there." Whenever we listen to that song.
Did your parents live there?
Yeah, I still have got relatives in Costa Mesa, which is like right down the street. Orange County,
Nice.
yeah.
Did they know the Browns?
Maybe in passing. My dad liked to talk to a lot of people.
All right. So then they had 2 more kids once they moved to California. She was like the beach beauty. She loved being like the sun-soaked lifestyle. She was the homecoming princess of her high school. They moved to Laguna Beach. So you can kind of get the feel for like how she had a pretty affluent upbringing. So you can compare and contrast that to OJ's upbringing, which was a little bit of a rougher,
I see where you're getting at.
rougher background there, right?
I see where you're getting at.
So now we're going to see when they met each other. So OJ met Nicole in 1977. He was still married to Marguerite at the time, but he claimed they had just decided to separate the night before.
Perfect timing. Hey.
Hey, that's kismet. Not what they say.
It was a nightclub called The Daisy, which was where like the rich and famous people went. She was working as a hostess. She had just turned 18. She graduated high school, turned 18, moved out, and met him 3 weeks later. And he swept her off her feet, and she was real into him, and she quit her job a few weeks later because he didn't want her working, and this was her life, was being his girlfriend. So most people thought they seemed to be really happy. They liked throwing parties and having fun together, but they did have a lot of domestic violence issues. She documented over 60 incidents in her personal journals over the years.
I bet her Instagram would have been lit, though, huh?
Yeah. Well, you think she would have been
I think that's
Instagramming about her domestic violence issues?
Well, no. I think when they say, like, oh, they seem so happy, that's like equivalent to, like, oh, her Instagram. It looked like they were having fun all the time.
Like she was living for the Instas?
Yeah.
That could be.
I've got
Maybe.
a quick side question. Snapchat. Do you think that's something that, like, if she was going through that, if she had Snapchat, she could be documenting and, like, snapping to her girlfriends? Because then it erases itself, right? And then you wouldn't know.
That's true.
Is that, like, a thing women could use, or any men, if they're being...
A tool? Hey, if you're getting domestic abused, use Snapchat.
Would you want them to, like, the recipient to screenshot it? To
Guess you need
save it for them?
evidence. Yeah. I guess you need, like, evidence. If you send Snapchat to someone and they get it, then it deletes from their phone. I guess it doesn't help anybody. It's just sad for inadmissible in court. Well, I got a Snapchat.
I saw it on a snap, but it went away.
Can't, like, courts still get Snapchats? Like, I don't know if they permanently delete, do they?
I think they do.
I feel
think
like
that's
I
a big
can't,
part
like,
of
believe
Snapchat.
that. For me, I can't believe that it's totally
The government's got to
I
find
can't
a way.
believe that
There's
it's
no
totally
way.
wiped. But that's
I feel like
neither here.
I've read stories where, like, oh, Snapchats were recovered by the police.
They started dating in 1977, and that's also the first story that we have from her sister of when there was a domestic violence issue. This was going on right in the very beginning. Nicole went to a Buffalo Bills game to watch OJ, and she kissed a mutual male friend on the cheek. He happened to look up when she did it. And then after that, he left her upstairs crying because he said that she embarrassed him. And then the first physical altercation that she mentioned in her journal was in 1978, so 1 year into their relationship.
Okay, so all this is being documented in her journal, yes?
Between her journal and then her sisters and her friends. Okay. I guess some of them would actually see things happening. I don't think anyone really realized how bad it was going on, like all combined. But I think people did hear like whispers. And they had this pattern where they'd have a huge fight and then he would buy her something really expensive. That's where she got her Ferrari from. And I wanted to share her license plate because I thought it was really cute. It was the letter L, the number 8, 4AD8. Late for a date. I thought that was so cute. Do you get it?
Oh, like if she's speeding, she's going to a date.
She's late for a date all the time. She was running late. She had her Ferrari.
That's like equivalent to like somebody who would have a bumper sticker that says, "I'm only speeding because I have to poop."
I've never seen that. Is that one that you see?
So there's somebody that I used to work with years ago that had that on his Xterra, actually. So it'd be like the same thing.
Yeah. Late for a poop.
Late for a date. Whatever.
You think she chose that? I wonder if OJ made her have that as her plate.
I'm just projecting here, but Emily M is saying that she got the Ferrari because of a domestic abuse event. What if the reason that she was domestically abused was because she was late for a date?
She'll never forget. She'll never forget.
So everyone thought it was cute, but it was really like shaming her.
Hey, it could be.
Yeah. It could be. That'll just have to be a theory that I don't think we'll ever have the answer to.
I think it's very likely. I don't even know if it's a theory because she didn't pick it.
Well, how do you know?
Well, because it was a gift, right? What color was the Ferrari?
It was white.
That's what I pictured.
I think it was tan on the inside.
Are we at a point of speculating or a further point of speculating?
Yeah, go for it.
I have to ask, as a woman on the show, do you think that like at that time, maybe in the early stages, is like, do you think she's like, oh, well, I really should leave, but I got a Ferrari. And it's like, eh. Or was he really just buying her and she really wanted out from the very beginning as soon as all this abuse started?
Oh, no. She had a hard time leaving. And yeah, he was definitely controlling her with gifts like that.
Okay.
Making her feel guilty and making her feel like she had to stay. And in fact, it was a fight that they had. He was seen out with some young girl and she moved out because she was real mad about it. And then he came to her parents' house to get her back and agreed to marry her. So that's how he proposed. So they had a big fight, and then she was so mad that she left. And then he's like, we can get married. So then they went out and shopped for rings. So that was kind of the pattern that they had going on, right?
The old juice.
So they dated for 8 years before they got married. So it wasn't like a short relationship. This went on for a long time.
Okay.
So they got married in 1985, and then 6 months later, their daughter was born.
The math doesn't add up. They were having premarital relations, it sounds like, John. What do you think about that?
She could have been a preemie. We don't know.
Sure. Trying to work in the late for a date thing there.
Their son was born 3 years later. 1988.
Good year.
I don't know if we have any other podcasters here that were born in 1988.
Good year. Both of us.
I think we have a Capricorn and an Aquarius.
Wait, when was his birthday, I wonder? That means our moms were pregnant at the same time as Nicole Brown Simpson. That's cool.
Isn't it true that women that are pregnant at the same time have like kinetic energy and can like telepathically speak to one another? Isn't that a thing?
What are you saying? What, pregnant women can talk in telepathy? Are you saying?
All of them in the whole world?
At the same time, within the same birth month, give or take a couple days. I don't know.
Do you mean like if you were born in July, your mom could telepathically talk to all the other babies born in July with you? Like to their
I would
mom?
say like the same horoscope.
Okay.
Wait,
interesting.
So that's a lot of people.
All around the world?
Maybe they have to be within a certain distance of
A certain radius. Yeah, we were saying like we live in Garden Grove. Maybe my mom did, although she wasn't pregnant with me. She was pregnant with my brother 4 years earlier, but still.
Well, what year was he born in 85?
He was born in 83.
No, rats.
Man.
Well, you never know. So you think like if two pregnant women pass each other on the street, pregnant,
they're both due like on the same day or within the same week. If one of the babies are due on the same day or week, there's like a moment where they telepathically talk to one another. That's just what I heard.
What do they say to each other? Hey, nice baby bump.
You ready?
Should be an interesting
Nice
one.
bump.
I'm late for a date. Which one was born on?
In 88?
Yeah.
Justin? We're getting the deets here so we can get the zodiacs. I'm a Pisces.
Pisces, that's the fish, right?
Mm-hmm. Water.
He was born on August 6th, so they were pregnant at the same time, but not for long. Your mom probably may have telepathed with Nicole Brown Simpson, but my mom probably not.
No telepathy going
bummer.
on there, unfortunately.
Maybe that's a good thing because, their lives didn't turn
I don't
out
know.
great.
Maybe one of our moms would have said, get out.
Yeah, you need to leave. Just like eyes glaring at her at the grocery store. Like dead stare. Like, you need to get away from
I saw that Ferrari. I know that it's because you were late for a date.
No one would willingly have that license plate on their car. You need to leave. Whoever gave that to you.
I thought it was a cute license plate. You guys are making like an evil thing.
It
I thought it
is.
was cute.
Yeah, but you're making the assumption that she picked it. Matt and I are saying there's no way.
Yeah, it would be like the same thing as like, I didn't wash the dishes as the license plate.
With like a heart at the end of it.
But like cute.
See, I feel like women are strong enough to go pick their own license plate numbers, but maybe that's too feminist of me to think that.
You know what? If she was going to pick her license plate number and she wanted to stay in his good graces, I got a good one. It should have been clean for you. Would have been a good. That probably would have kept her in a good,
maybe
It's like, look, I got a plate for you. Trust me, I'll live up to it. Okay, fine.
OJ sounds like he was a little old school.
He was born in 1947. It is 30 years ago. Let's not forget. A lot has changed.
Post-war.
They're boomers.
Well, let's get to his acting career.
Well,
You're getting there? Okay.
There is a very important part of his acting career that led up to the murders, okay?
He's actually acted in John's favorite films, so.
What, The Naked Gun? Are they your favorite?
I like them a lot. Norberg.
I don't know if I've ever seen The Naked Gun, so.
Oh, man. Dude, when he was in the wheelchair and he fell down the steps in the baseball game. Yeah. Oh, my God. I remember watching that with my dad. You might have been watching it, Emily. We watched it. I rewound it a couple times to watch that over and over again. It is funny, man.
So you guys found him to be a talented actor then?
No, just the movie. The second one's even better when he's like trying to put the device on that van and then he gets stuck and ends up in Detroit. Like gets under a bus on one of those skateboard things you go under a car to like changing oil with. Like he ends up on like one of the buses and ends up in Detroit. It's great. His character's really funny in that movie, I thought.
I feel like you can not give him the credit for it, and you got to give it to the writers.
Yeah. Well, he brought life to the character, though. All right. So Nicole was real into being a mom. She would do everything herself. She didn't have nannies and stuff. She would take them to school and to all their activities, and she would have people at her house for their birthday parties and all of that.
Wow, what a hero.
Oh, I'm sorry.
She's being a mom, but
Yeah.
okay, go ahead. I get it.
She didn't have to be.
She didn't have to be.
She could have been out in her Ferrari being late for dates, but she was with her kids instead.
Did OJ offer help? Did he offer to get help for the house?
They're still married at this point. So
No, but did he offer like, I'm going to get you like a cleaning lady or we'll get
Oh, yeah, they
butler?
had cleaning ladies. Oh, yeah, they had all that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she just, she did the kid stuff.
So the fun stuff that doesn't. If you've got a cleaning lady and someone to do the dishes, the fun stuff. Of course, it's all fun stuff.
Oh yeah.
Well, it's not all
Kid
fun
stuff's
stuff. Yeah,
so
that's coming.
fun.
From
I mean,
the guy
it's
who
like-
does, it has a niece.
I got a niece.
Yeah.
Done
I don't know.
some fun stuff with my niece, but I've done the cleaning too.
The mom involved herself in her children's lives.
Which is
That's
which
really
in Hollywood, that's special.
That's true. That's very true.
We don't live that life here.
Nope.
But while this was all going along, her journals are talking about all of the abuse she's enduring. So in the public eye, she's this mom who's real involved and all lovey-dovey with OJ, driving around in her Ferrari late for a date. But her journal's talking about how he would beat her for hours at a time. So this isn't just like throwing you up against the door, like hours at a time. He would threaten her with guns. He had a huge gun collection. He was particularly upset about how much weight she would gain.
This is all hypothetical.
This is all
Of
hypothetical.
course.
He didn't like how much weight she gained while she was pregnant. He would always be like, ew, can you go on a diet or something? And she would be like, I'm busy growing your baby. So that was the kind of relationship they had.
Wait, shit, when she was pregnant, he was saying that she was getting too fat?
Yeah, he told her she should go on a diet.
Don't do that.
So she put all these journals and took photos of herself with some of her injuries and put it in a safe deposit box because she had a feeling something was going to go awry in her life. These documents were found 6 months after the murders, but were not admitted into the trial as evidence because the judge considered them to be hearsay. So
Like a
she kind of set
Snapchat.
this whole. She was setting this whole trail to lead everyone to what was going on.
Interesting. I'm not a lawyer, but that seems a little fishy.
The police were called to their home multiple times. They didn't do much because a lot of them were friends with OJ, or Nicole chose not to press charges. A lot of the fights were around OJ's infidelity. He had lots of affairs with lots of different people throughout these years. So, she was expected to be faithful, but he was not.
Juice was on the loose.
He was on the loose.
Say.
Yeah. One of the worst incidents was on January 1st, 1989. She called the police after being beaten by him. And when they arrived, she ran toward them crying, "He's going to kill me. He's going to kill me." She went to the hospital with severe bruising and cuts. OJ was confused about why he was being arrested, calling the beating a family matter. He later pleaded no contest to spousal abuse, received a minor punishment, a $200 fine, a $500 donation to a shelter for abused women, 120 hours of community service, and 2 years of probation. Nicole dropped the charges, allegedly encouraged by her parents, who were financially benefiting from OJ's Hertz rental car connections. Her dad was running a Hertz dealership.
Oh, he got him in. He might be part Sicilian.
Who, OJ?
Yeah, you rope in the whole family. It's a whole weave network.
Oh, yeah.
It's there's no getting out kind of thing. And yeah, if you got money and a business involved, it complicates matters.
You're probably right. I don't know if they own the Hertz first or not. My guess is not, but
I don't think so. I think he hooked him up with it because he was the Hertz guy, right? He ran through the airport on the commercials. That was his big campaign with them.
yeah, now it's Tom Brady.
Oh, is it?
Mm-hmm.
That's quite a legacy to follow. So after that, OJ and Nicole issued a public statement and said their marriage was as strong as ever. OJ downplayed the events in an ESPN interview saying, "Hey, we had a fight. We were both guilty. No one was hurt. It was no big deal. And we got on with our lives." Well, 3 years after that, she files for divorce.
We're in 92.
Yeah, we're in February 92. She finally files for divorce. It ends up being finalized same year, so it didn't go on for too long. She received a $433,000 cash settlement and $10,000 a month in child support, which is $940,000 cash and $22,000 a month in today's dollars.
That's not bad.
That is not
So that's
bad.
a little bit better than what poor Marguerite got, if you ask me. She moved into her own house in Brentwood, a couple blocks away. It was on a street called Gretna Green, starting a new life.
So she stayed in the same neighborhood as OJ?
Yeah, she wanted the kids to be close to him because she wanted them to have a father in their life. So he started to get really erratic. He would obsess over her, pursue her, would call her friends and family to find out what she's up to. He would call her mom every day, discussing Nicole, wanting to know how he could get her back.
Aw.
He would park outside her house and call her mom and say, "I'm just sitting here thinking about her."
Aw.
Nicole confided in her mother she was scared, saying, "I go to the gas station, he's there. I'm driving and he's behind me."
It's kind of like the classic line between being heartbroken and being, stalker.
Yeah. If you're driving a white Ferrari with that license plate, you're going to stick out like a sore thumb. She probably should have downsized and
Do you think she got to keep the Ferrari?
put on a wig.
Oh, yeah, she had the Ferrari.
Traded in for a Honda Accord, get like a red wig, and you go out, never be spotted.
During the divorce, Nicole started dating other men. OJ began a relationship with Paula Barbieri in May of 1992.
Who's this?
We'll get into Paula in a
Me
little
and John
bit.
just instantly Googled.
Paula Barbieri.
It's not on his Wikipedia page.
She was a supermodel.
She wrote a book?
She wrote a book. She really cashed in on this whole murder thing. So yeah, they start dating. His obsessiveness kind of wanes. They finalize their divorce and things are kind of good. But then in 93, Nicole decided that she really missed having a family with him.
Oh,
So she starts
boy.
pursuing him, and he's like, "No, I don't want to get back together with you." But she started calling him and stopping by and sending him letters and videos and saying, "I want our family to be back together." So he resisted, but then they started dating again. But she stayed living separate. But now they're kind of functioning as a family. Her sister said that Nicole told her, "He's never going to leave me alone. I'm never going to get rid of him. I might as well go back to him." They get back together. Things are good for 6 months. But then they had another 911 call incident where she was at her house. The subject of a former boyfriend of Nicole's came up. OJ went into a rage. He went home and was trying to call her. She took the phone off the hook. So then he showed back up at the house and he broke the doors off the hinges of the house. That's how strong he was.
Like the Hulk.
That's how I picture it. You can listen to the 911 call. There is a recording of it where you hear how scared she is, and you can hear him like screaming in the background and her telling him to be quiet because the kids are sleeping. And he's like, you didn't care about the kids when you were with your boyfriend in the living room and blah, 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 blah.
I guess he was persistent and he got what he wanted back, but guess you got to be careful what you wish for.
He didn't really get nicer, though.
Sounds like a classic case of you want what you can't have. And then as soon as he's off the market, then she wants to come back in the picture.
Oh, a little bit of that. Then when he got what he wanted, he was back to his old ways.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit of a toxic relationship, it sounds like.
A little.
So Nicole's friend said OJ was spying on Nicole because he was realizing she was becoming happy. He was stalking and literally hiding in the bushes. Nicole would say, be careful what you say. He could be right next to us. I saw him last night in a bush. I don't want him to get upset because he's watching all the time. So she'd be in her living room not knowing if he was in a bush listening to what she was saying.
Well, did they break up after the door incident?
Not yet.
What?
But she still lives separate. So still living a separate life, right?
When he'd run out of the bushes, do you think he just Heisman posed in front of her window? He just stands like a statue in Heisman pose in her front lawn for hours on end.
To disguise?
Just like, I'm here. You know I'm here, but I'm going to Heisman pose while I'm here.
What?
Is that the neighbors would think that she just got a statue of him?
No,
She's
more
saying,
so
like,
like
she like I think
More-
she's saying
more
like,
mind, like-
she's looking out the window like, oh, there's OJ and he's just sitting there in his eyes.
he was like, a reminder, I'm the juice, baby. I got 2,000 yards in 14 games. I'm the Heisman winner. Don't forget it.
What's a Heisman pose?
That's what the guy looks like in the trophy. He's giving a stiff arm with his leg up, holding the football.
Oh, like this?
Yeah.
All right, so this is a new tidbit of information that just came out last night on the,
What if it's like
documentary.
What if like Lifetime documentary? New tidbit of information: OJ actually just stood for hours in Nicole's front yard in the Heisman pose.
That's how fake news starts.
It could. I mean, as a psychological warfare. Like I'll stay like this forever, babe.
I mean, like in full football gear.
Like in his high school uniform.
Yo, juice.
Breaking news.
All right,
I found it.
Here's the real breaking news. So this came out in the Lifetime documentary last night that, I don't know if this is new, but OJ was an avid knife collector, like obsessed with knives. And a friend recalled that when OJ and Nicole were still married, they had a conversation about what's your biggest fear. It was like a small talk conversation. They all went around the table. What's your biggest fear? Nicole said her biggest fear was being attacked from behind and slashed by a knife.
By OJ.
She didn't say that part.
That's the breaking news?
I'm not done. Let me finish.
Was OJ there at this
Yes.
game?
Yes.
Oh.
He said he was afraid of drowning. He couldn't swim. A couple of years later, when their marriage was not in a good place, Nicole brought up this conversation to her friend and said whenever they would have big fights, OJ would say, I'm going to chop you up into little pieces and bury you on Mulholland, and no one will know where you are, not even your children. And that's why she was afraid of being slashed by a knife. That's the breaking news.
Do you think her girlfriend suggested pushing him into a pool at some point?
No. Well, he was pretty big. That would probably be hard to do.
Tasteless joke would be something about like Nicole should have installed a moat around her house or something.
Trade in the Ferrari, get that cash, start small.
So this is the breaking news: is that they were at a party.
Everyone was sharing what they were afraid of. This friend, she was a flight attendant, so she was afraid of the plane crashing in like a fiery crash.
That's an
OJ was
interesting-
afraid of drowning because he couldn't swim. And Nicole was afraid of being slashed from behind with a knife.
Dude. Can you imagine being at that party, like having like a nice dinner, and like everyone's like, "Oh, this will be fun. Let's talk about what we're most scared of." "Oh, I'm scared of drowning." "Oh, I'm a flight attendant. I hope the plane doesn't crash while I'm on it." And OJ's like, I can't swim." And Nicole's like, "I'm scared of getting attacked from behind with a knife." Like something real, like
But it's
that.
all like very realistic. It's like, well, it makes sense why a flight attendant would have that fear. Basically, everyone's saying like this is an actual true thing that could happen, and by her saying that, she's basically admitting like this guy can kill me.
I just feel like the rest of the people, they were like, "Eee, that was intense."
Yeah, well, I think that struck them as odd, and they remembered it. And then she brought it up later and said he told her he was going to chop her up into a bunch of little pieces. So now it's January of 94. So that last 911 incident was in October of 93. Now we're in January of 94. Nicole moves to a condo on Bundy Drive. which ends up being the site of the murders. She's moving into a condo on Bundy Drive, and she wants to start fresh once again.
We'll be back next time to continue the story of the infamous Nicole Brown Simpson murderers.
And Rod Goldman.
And alleged murder.
Alleged. Well, the murders really happened.
All right, so join us on the next one.
See you guys.
See ya.
Bye.
And we say bye-bye.